Hello, and welcome to one other Wednesday's episode of our January Web Security series.
Hey there.
I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are. We are so glad you're here with us because, honestly, our hope for this entire series is pretty simple.
Yeah,
We want to help you stay safe in the online world.
that's right. And it's not just about, giving you a checklist of things to be afraid of. It's more about understanding the landscape so you can navigate it with confidence.
Exactly. We are steering clear of the heavy technical jargon that usually makes people, tune out.
Right.
We want to give you a different perspective on your website security, a better understanding that actually sticks.
Hmm.
Because today, we are taking a deep dive into something I think we are all guilty of overlooking. We are talking about plugins, integrations, and the illusion of trust.
Oh, this is a massive topic.
Yeah.
It is arguably the single biggest vulnerability for most modern websites.
Really?
Yeah, simply because it sits right at that intersection of I need this done fast and I hope this is safe.
That's so true. I want to kick this off right away with a quote from our source material that, it really stopped me in my tracks.
Okay.
It says, "Every convenience is a trade." That is heavy.
It is heavy, but it's the fundamental law of web development. Right.
Yeah.
When you buy convenience, you're usually paying with control.
So I have to ask you, the listener, and be honest here. When was the last time you actually read the terms and conditions or even just the permissions list before clicking install on a new plugin?
I mean, if you were like 99% of the internet, the answer is probably never.
Yeah.
You see the button, you want the result, you just click.
Guilty as charged. You see a shiny button, you need a contact form, you click it.
Yeah.
But let's unpack this idea of the comfortable lie.
Okay.
The sources talk about how we trust things that feel familiar. You see a logo you recognize or a plugin that has thousands of installs, and you just assume, okay, this is safe.
That is the illusion right there.
Yeah.
We confuse familiarity with security. In the physical world, trust is earned, over time. You trust your neighbor because you've lived next to them for 10 years. But in modern web systems, the sources argue that trust it's assumed by proximity.
Assumed by proximity. I love that phrase, but it's also terrifying. What does that actually mean for someone running a website?
Well, it means that just because a piece of software is sitting in a repository,
Like the official plugin directory or something.
exactly, or because it appears on your dashboard, you just assume it's benevolent. You think, well, the platform let it in, so it must be safe.
But that proximity doesn't guarantee safety.
No, it just guarantees availability.
Right. And the sources make a really bold distinction here that I think we need to highlight. We tend to think of a plugin as just a feature.
Yeah,
Like, I install a calendar plugin, and now I have a calendar feature. Simple, right?
that is the comfortable lie. A plugin is not a feature. If you look at it through a security lens, a plugin is actually someone else's code running inside your system.
Someone else's code.
Yeah.
When you put it that way, it sounds a lot more invasive.
It is invasive. I mean, functionally, that is exactly what is happening. You are taking a stranger's script and injecting it into the heart of your business.
Wow.
And that code isn't sitting in some sandbox playing by itself. Depending on your architecture, it often has the same level of access as the core software.
So let's get specific. If I install that calendar widget we mentioned, what can it actually touch?
Potentially. Everything.
Seriously.
Yeah. It has access to your database. It has access to your user table, which means your customers' emails and, hashed passwords.
Okay.
It touches your authentication layer. And ultimately, it has access to your reputation.
That is the stakes right there, your reputation. Because if that plugin goes rogue or if it has a vulnerability that gets exploited, it isn't the plugin developer who takes the heat.
No, it's your site serving up the malware. It's your users getting spammed. The user doesn't blame Calendar Widget version 2, they blame you.
So the shifting perspective we need to make, and this is key for everyone listening, is to stop thinking about installation as adding functionality. You need to frame it as expanding your attack surface.
That is a total 180 on how we usually operate. You aren't building a bigger house, you're just unlocking more windows.
Precisely. And I would ask the listener to think about their own website right now, or even their browser extensions. How many strangers have you invited into your digital home?
Yeah.
How many different authors wrote the code that is currently running your business?
It's probably dozens, maybe hundreds.
And that brings us to the next big trap the sources discuss, which I think drives most of these installs. The popularity trap.
Yeah.
I see this all the time. Oh, this plugin has over 1 million active installs. It must be the gold standard.
Popular does not equal safe. That is the mathematical reality we need to accept.
But help me understand that. If a million people are using it, doesn't that mean it's battle-tested? Doesn't crowd wisdom apply here?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Popularity tells you one thing and only one thing.
Yeah.
How often something was installed. It does not tell you how often it is reviewed. It doesn't tell you if it's been audited by a security professional. And it certainly doesn't tell you if the developer has, abandoned it.
So it's just a vanity metric, essentially.
In many ways, yes. But here is where it gets really interesting and dangerous. Attackers love popular plugins.
Because it's a bigger target.
It's about return on investment. If I'm a hacker and I spend 2 weeks finding a flaw in a custom-coded script on your specific website, I can hack your website.
One victim.
One victim. Not a great use of time if you're trying to make money or cause chaos on a large scale.
Right.
But if I find a flaw in a plugin that has 1 million active installs,
Oh, wow.
one flaw scales beautifully. I can automate an attack that hits 1 million sites at once.
So by choosing the most popular option without doing your due diligence, you might actually be painting a target on your back.
You are joining the largest possible herd, which is exactly where the predators go hunting.
That is a chilling thought. But okay, let's say we have the plugins, we've installed them, now we have to manage them.
Yep.
Right. And the sources talk about this update paradox.
Right.
It seems like people fall into 2 camps here, and neither of them is great.
It is usually blind updating or frozen fear.
Okay, I have definitely been in both camps.
Yeah.
Blind updating is where you just set everything to auto-update and pray, right?
Right. Everything updates automatically at 3 a.m., no review, no testing. You wake up and maybe your site is fine.
Or maybe the checkout button has disappeared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of a conflict between the new update and your theme.
And then there is frozen fear. I feel like a lot of our listeners might relate to this one. Don't touch it, it might break.
It is a very human reaction. You finally got the site working perfectly.
Yeah.
The delicate house of cards is standing.
Yeah.
You are terrified that clicking update on that gallery plugin is going to bring the whole thing crashing down. So you just don't. You let it sit there.
But both of these are bad strategies. They are. Blind updating introduces instability. Frozen fear introduces vulnerability. But the source material points out that security failures often happen in the sweet spot between these extremes.
The sweet spot of failure sounds like a terrible name for a band.
It really does. But it's that middle ground where updates are delayed just long enough to become liabilities. You aren't ignoring it forever, but you aren't patching it fast enough to beat the automated bots scanning for the vulnerability.
Because once a vulnerability is announced, the clock starts ticking, right?
The clock is racing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have hours, not days, before the bot starts sweeping the internet looking for that specific outdated version.
So, listener, I want to ask you, which camp are you in? Are you a blind updater crossing your fingers every morning? Or are you paralyzed by the fear of breaking your site? Drop a comment below because I think we need to normalize talking about this anxiety. It is real.
It is absolutely real. And ironically, that anxiety leads us directly into the next danger zone, zombie integrations.
I love the name, but I hate the concept. This is about the stuff we forget, right?
Yes. The source material calls this the silent risk. We tend to focus on the plugins we use every day.
Sure. The page builder, the e-commerce engine.
But the most dangerous plugins are often the ones that aren't active.
Like that plugin you installed for a holiday campaign 3 years ago.
Exactly. Or the one you installed to troubleshoot a specific bug and then just left there. Or the contest plugin for a giveaway that ended in 2022.
It's just sitting there gathering dust. But surely if it's deactivated, it's safe.
That's a dangerous assumption. In the digital world, dust is combustible.
Ooh.
The source puts it perfectly. Inactive doesn't mean harmless. It means unmonitored.
Unmonitored. That is the key. Because if you aren't using it, you aren't looking at it.
Right.
You might not even notice if it disappears from the repository or gets flagged for a security issue.
And this connects back to what we discussed in December déjà vu, as the notes call it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we talked about dormant user accounts?
Oh, right. The old admin accounts that nobody uses but still have the keys to the castle.
Precisely. A zombie plugin is the exact same thing, but at a system level. It is code that still resides on your server. Often still accessible via direct file paths if you know where to look, but it has zero oversight.
Speaking of oversight, let's talk about permission creep. This sounds like a horror movie villain, but it's actually about how plugins change over time.
This is a subtle erosion of security. Most plugins start small. Let's say you install a simple image optimizer. It needs read access to your media library. Makes sense.
Sure, harmless, it needs to see the images to shrink them.
But then 6 months later, the developer sells the plugin to a different company. Or they just decide to add a new feature.
Oh, no.
Now it can back up your database. Suddenly, read becomes write.
And limited becomes global.
And optional becomes required. And the scary part is that there is usually no alert for this. You don't get a big red flashing light saying, hey, this plugin is now a god on your server.
It just happens in the background during an update.
Yeah. Just gradual authority drift.
Wow.
Security doesn't usually collapse all at once with a bang. It erodes grain by grain until the foundation gives way.
Man, that is a sobering thought. It really makes you want to go check your dashboard right now.
You should. But before you run off to do that, we have to talk about how to actually fix this mindset.
Absolutely. We are going to get into the sanity check in just a second, and this is a tool you can use without installing anything, ironically.
Right.
But first, since we are talking about staying ahead of the curve and not missing out on crucial info,
We have a small favor to ask.
if you are enjoying this deep dive and you want to keep your digital life secure, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube NCWEBDEV channel.
We have so much new content coming out, and honestly, the landscape changes so fast, you don't want to be playing catch-up when it comes to security.
Exactly. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss all the new stuff coming out. It's the easiest security upgrade you can make today.
Okay, let's get back to it. We have talked about the problem, the comfortable lie,
Yeah.
the popularity trap, the zombies.
Right.
Now let's talk about the solution.
The threat model. The sources identify the true enemy here, and it's not some genius hacker in a hoodie typing green code in a dark room.
No, the real enemy is convenience.
We'll remove it later. It's just temporary. It saves time. I have said all of these things.
We all have, it's human nature,
Yeah.
but convenience stacks invisibly. Each little shortcut feels insignificant on its own, but when you stack them up over a year or two, they turn into fragility. You're building a tower out of shortcuts.
So how do we knock that tower down safely? The expert advice here is a practical sanity check.
Yep.
And I love this because it says, no tools needed, you don't need to buy a fancy scanner, you just need to ask 5 questions.
Right, and I want the listener to really internalize these. Don't just nod along. Actually ask them. Question 1, do I still need this plugin?
And not, might I need it someday, but do I need it right now?
Brutal honesty required. If the answer is maybe, the answer is no.
Okay, what's question 2?
What permissions does it actually have? Does your contact form really need to be able to modify your core system files?
Probably not.
Probably not. Does that gallery widget need to write to your database? And if it does, you need to ask why.
Question 3, who maintains it? Is it a reputable company with a physical address and a support team? Or is it a random username that hasn't posted in 3 years?
That happens more often than you think. You're running code maintained by a ghost.
Wow.
Which leads to question 4. When was it last updated? If the answer is 2021, you have a problem.
That is essentially abandoned property at that point. And the last one, which is the scariest one to test, what breaks if I remove it?
That is the dependency check. If you don't know the answer to that, you are flying blind. You don't know your own infrastructure.
The sources are pretty clear here. If you cannot answer these questions, that is your warning signal.
It is. It's a red flag waving right in your face.
So here is our interactive challenge for you listening right now. Pick one plugin on your site, just one. Open up your dashboard, pick one at random, and try to answer those 5 questions.
You might be surprised or horrified by the answers.
Or lack of answers. And this leads us to the final philosophy of this deep dive. Minimalism.
We need to reframe what security maturity looks like. We tend to think that being more secure means having more tools.
Right. More firewalls, more scanners, more dashboards with cool graphs.
More blinking lights means more safe, right?
Yeah.
That's what movies taught us.
Wrong. Security maturity often looks like subtraction. It's boring. It's clean.
I love that concept.
Yeah.
Minimalism isn't just an aesthetic choice here. The notes call it defensive architecture.
Explain that.
Think about it. Every plugin you remove is a door you've locked and bricked over. You are reducing the number of dependencies. You are establishing clear ownership. You are making intentional choices rather than accidental ones.
So the goal is fewer moving parts.
Exactly. Simplicity is easier to secure than complexity. It's easier to monitor 5 plugins than 50.
And this leads to the real reframe. It's not about being paranoid. I think people get tired of security advice because it feels like we're telling them to wear a tinfoil hat and, disconnect the internet.
It's not about paranoia. It is about stewardship.
Stewardship, that's a powerful word. It implies caretaking.
It shifts the responsibility. Every integration you add is a relationship. You're entering into a relationship with that developer and their code.
Okay.
And just like in real life, every relationship needs boundaries.
And every boundary needs review. You can't just set it and forget it.
No. And if you don't manage trust deliberately, your system will outsource it for you. And it will outsource it to the lowest bidder, which is usually the most convenient, least secure option.
If you don't manage trust deliberately, your system will outsource it for you. That is going on a sticky note on my monitor.
It's the core of everything we've talked about today.
So let's wrap this up and look forward. The source material reminds us that December was about cleanup, getting rid of the old junk.
Right.
January is about resilience.
Building a system that can take a hit, building a system that doesn't collapse because one plugin developer had a bad day or sold their company to a spam farm.
And a final warning from the notes. Neglect scales faster than threats. Plugins just hide the neglect better.
That is the truth. A plugin dashboard can look very clean and tidy, while the code underneath is, well, rotting away.
Now, looking ahead to our next deep dive, I am seeing the title for the next one, and I feel personally attacked already.
What is it?
The next deep dive is backups are not a security strategy.
Oh, that is going to be a controversial one. But it is so important.
But backups feel responsible. They feel safe. If I have a backup, I can just hit undo, right?
They do feel safe. But recovery is not prevention.
Yeah.
And confidence built on assumptions, like the assumption that your backup will actually work or that it isn't infected too, always fails at the worst moment.
Yeah. I can't wait to unpack that, even if it hurts a little. But for today, we want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over.
Okay.
We talked about stewardship versus outsourcing trust.
Right.
So here's the question. Are you the steward of your system? Or have you unknowingly outsourced your security to a stranger's code?
Who is really holding the keys to your house? You or the person who wrote that calendar widget in 2019?
Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We genuinely want to know how many strangers you found living in your dashboard.
It's always an eye-opener.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into website security. We hope you feel a little less overwhelmed and a lot more empowered to take control of your digital space.
Stay safe out there.
Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.